Ladies and gentlemen, meet Hugh Shepherd. Woo! How are you, Hugh?
I'm excellent, thank you, Hughesy. How are
Good
you?
man, yeah, very, very good, yeah. And it's really, really cold outside, so I really do apologise for having you come down here and, you know, freezing. You're wearing barely any clothes. It's all, yeah.
Oh, I'm a northerner, although southerners would probably get upset about that. or I should say, people from Yorkshire would get upset
that's
about
true.
that.
Yeah.
The
No,
true north.
Yeah, no, you're harder
yeah.
than we are in the Scousers. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, exactly.
Would you agree with that, Ben? Or
I don't know about that.
Yeah. How are you? You all good?
Yeah, really, really good. It's been a really exciting year, really, since getting everything moving and off the ground after, starting back of a fag packet idea, no substance really, just like sheets and sheets of notes and just wild brainstorming about what something could be and why it matters and all that kind of stuff. And then eventually seeing it come to life. That's a very special thing.
Amazing. Well, I mean, perhaps that's where we start then. Obviously you've been working on Liaura.
Yes.
Waft t-shirt vibes into the air. Can you tell us about Liaura? Could you tell us about the idea and what it is? And
So I'll start with the why. So I realised a few years ago, before all of the current media conversation around this, that it was going to be really important for children to have a dedicated social space. Social media is just a cesspit of the wrong kinds of people, awful kinds of content, violence, pornography, you name it. I call them false idol influences that have these kind of like shock and awe influencing ideas that children actually absorb as truth, where maybe adults can be usually a little bit more skeptical. So it actually happened late one night where I was lying in bed with my girlfriend. She's fast asleep, snoring away, and I'm just awake, which I can't sleep when someone else is snoring. I can't lie. And I just had this brainwave where the thinking that I'd been doing in the months running up to that about this situation, I had just this amazing brainwave, like full of ideas. And I spent 3+ hours on a note on my phone, just like typing away. It's one of the most tuned in moments of my entire life. It was really bizarre. Like that it was more than a light bulb moment. It was more like a firework display moment. And it went on for, a good period of time, and it really inspired me to set about doing something about it.
Right.
And so what it is in the end is a safe social and play app for kids.
Okay.
So it's guardian supervised and managed, and it replaces doom scrolling with high value learning. There's no strangers because it's closed network. It helps to stop them through technology, cyberbullying each other, saying racial slurs, swearing at each other, these kinds of things. So it's like a really wholesome, limited and managed alternative so that kids can get used to the digital world, but in a much safer space and in a safer way.
Totally. And we were talking before this when we were saying like how technology in general, the approach to technology, particularly in this country at the moment, is just limit everything, stop this, you can't, ban phones till we're 15, all of those types of things. What are your comments on that, and how does that relate to everything that you're doing?
So I agree with them insofar as perhaps having smartphones before the age of 10, 11 is not a good idea, and actually we're seeing that's very prevalent now. Children as young as 4 and 5 are getting smartphones. There is definitely something wrong there.
Yeah.
But
that's a no-brainer.
Because that's too much access, too much information, and there's not enough control over what goes on. I think the real question for me is, what are they actually doing when they access the digital world? What are they getting out of it when they access the digital world? What kind of harms and risks are they experiencing as a result of what they're accessing and for how long in the digital world? And a lot of these studies, if you study 500 children who are spending 5 hours a day on TikTok, and then you go, does that have negative mental health consequences? Well, yes. And you don't really need a study to tell you that. It's not very productive, wholesome, social, or any kind of positive behavior that you would want to encourage from children. So I think it's more about staged access. So managed devices from maybe 6 to 10. So that could be like a tablet, an iPad at home, something like that. And then from 11 onwards, maybe they're still on the tablet, and that's fine. Maybe they're not quite ready for the full smartphone experience yet, which I also think is a parental decision. I think a lot of people like to dictate what parents should and shouldn't do, but there is a bit of familial responsibility there, and parents do need to try to retain some kind of flexibility as to how they think best to parent their children, because every child is different. The other thing, we're really touching on something very dense here. So the other thing that's really, really important is that it's now drifting into this dangerous space where years of progress with EdTech, where it's not perfect yet, but the whole dream of being able to personalize learning for every learner. Most of us are more visual learners than writing and downing. The attention spans in school are always terrible for that. We're reading these like thick textbooks that were printed like 15 years ago in school, right?
100 years ago, easily.
Not super engaging, was it? And we all got dead excited when someone showed us like a historical reenactment of a battle or something. That was
when the TV was rolled into the room on the wheels, and it was this massive TV, and then they'd play like I don't know, Monty Python's Life of Brian or something. That was like a massive moment,
Exactly. And now with AI, because there are positive uses of AI, that dream of personalized learning for every child actually becomes possible. And it becomes possible to manage, it becomes possible to mark. That's a very powerful future.
Definitely.
But instead, there's this kind of like pull the rug out from under them. It's like no technology until they're older, and then what happens then? It's like, do they turn 16 and then fall off the edge of a cliff because they get their first smartphone? Then it's like they've not learned how to approach digital responsibly. They've not learned how to not get addicted to like screen time and addictive content and algorithms. So it's really key, I think, that they learn in a managed way how to deal with that space, so they don't fall off the edge of a cliff to what the internet, if you can imagine what the internet's going to be like in 5-10 years.
Totally. It's
you're not even going to know what's real and what's not. So
definitely.
I think there's a great deal of digital training that needs to happen around that to prepare them for that
100%.
future world.
It's interesting because the government right now are looking at overhauling educational policy, aren't they? Or they either have done or they've very recently announced plans to do so. And it's all to do with kids in schools being trained very early on with like, what is AI, what is basic computing, safety within the web and all that stuff. So it clearly is, the way AI is now, ChatGPT and so on, there's so many options for AI now where it is undoubtedly taking over education, business, absolutely everything. I mean, even the music business, it is taking over, and there's pros and cons with it, of course. So how does, what is your approach to, what is Liaura's approach to, how does it police things and how does it benefit, and what are the differences that you're offering?
So there's a few different areas. There's the Guardian side controls and visibility, which are really key, that parents are really lacking on the other platforms at the moment, where they can see and manage their child's friends lists, which is powerful because you know who they're actually able to speak to.
Of course.
You can also get reports from messages and from feed posts if something slips through the net of the safety tech on the child side that stops them, swearing at each other, these kinds of things that will pick up the wrong kinds of content. And that's proprietary technology, but we have some really exciting plans to push well beyond that to create what's called AI Shield, which is a comprehensive kind of content safeguarding system. Which super excited to
that
building.
Sounds,
We have some PhD level research around that as well.
Wow.
Which is excellent.
Of course.
So, and then around the sort of learning side, we have an online safety course with Mo from M3 Cyber Shield Consulting, who's actually a former US cyber crime investigator. As in has been investigating, crimes against children online. Working for the US government for years. Brilliant on-screen personality. And like teaching the kids about online safety. So there's like there's a nurture approach. So we have the safety side, and then the idea is over time to train them up for the digital world, and that will include courses on things like AI, spotting fake content, that kind of thing, because that's getting harder every day.
It is getting extremely difficult to do that. You can still tell at present, can't you? But like even is it BBC? They recently did a news broadcast. It was an AI reporter, and the whole point was to make a comment about AI as spotting fake news and things. Interesting. So talk some more about your partners and things then, and like the people who are helping you. You've obviously got quite a few on board at the moment and things.
Yeah, sure. So I'll go through the different categories. So we have these concepts of explore, improve, play, and relax on Liaura. They're like the categories. So in explore, it's about nurturing interests, And I'm biased because I spent so much of my life doing music and mucking about with guitars and synths and
That's it. That's it.
6 years of music at uni as well before I got my first sort of startup job.
Yeah.
So we're partnered with mastering.com, so we actually have beginner music production course from them on the platform, which is awesome.
Nice.
Singing Wells, who do East African music videos, which is beautiful because not only am I dead into African music, I actually play a West African instrument called the kora.
Wow,
Yeah,
I
I've got
didn't know
3
that.
koras
Wow,
at home.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
We should jam sometime.
Yeah, we should definitely jam. Yeah, that sounds good.
So they, I think those kinds of cultural celebrations are actually the best possible antidote to the onset of racism and bigotry from a young age, because music is that universal language. And when you see these people who are in some ways quite different from us in terms of how they approach their music, their culture, their dress, but fundamentally, there's that connection there that you can really see and feel.
Yeah, it's Confucian, isn't it? We're under one sky, and it's totally we're the same animal, aren't we? So
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what Explore is all about. So we're going to be adding more, let's say, how to learn how to do X, like nurturing interests, which is something we should come on to in a bit around music tech, because that's really key, I think, for kind of self-directed learning and that side. So Improve is all about things like confidence and public speaking. So Sai from Speak and Win UK.
Yeah.
You familiar with him?
Yeah, he's
Legend.
my partner. Yeah. We work together. Yeah.
Amazing. I didn't know you know. Yeah. He's a bit of a superstar, isn't he?
Yeah,
Such a good
Sai's
guy.
amazing. Yeah.
So he does a confidence public speaking course. He's one of the leading workshop facilitators for glossophobia, which is the fear of public speaking around the UK. We've got Leslie from the Money Confidence Academy.
Oh yeah,
now best-selling author in financial literacy.
Yeah, amazing.
She's got a money course on there as well. Let's see, we've got obviously Mo, as I explained before, the kind of online safety course element that's quite exciting. And then so in the play category, we have this game. So I'm quite passionate about sustainability. So that I knew that the first mini game, because it's such a perfect idea, should teach them something about recycling and sustainability, where it feels a bit like Ark, Minecraft, Pokemon.
Yeah.
But they're like running around and cleaning up an island that's been polluted by humans, and they hack down the rubbish heaps and then rescue animals from them and stuff.
Yeah.
And then they can use the resources to upgrade their tools in their house.
Ace.
So it's like, it has this nice linearity because they get to build a house at the end.
Right.
Of like, look after the environment first and then build around it and not the other way around.
Yeah.
I have this saying of like, children are the future stewards of the planet. So those kinds of things that are hard for parents to teach, you can actually approach in a completely different and novel way. So
and in a way that includes, obviously through the app, it includes technology, and it keeps it safe, and it keeps it manageable and understandable and fun and all of those positive things. So just to sort of go into memory lane, where did it all come from? You were talking about music, play African instruments. Where did this idea? How did you get to this, and where did it all start for you?
Sure. So originally, I was a DJ producer.
Okay.
Did every hospitality job under the sun. Learned some really good kind of work ethic, I think, from that, as anyone who's done it will appreciate, because it's good graft.
It's hard. Yeah.
So, I did 6 years of music at uni, but I was really struggling back then. I was living on an estate in Stockport. Was like pretty lost, been through quite a lot when I was younger.
Right.
Didn't really know where I was going, what was going on, just like pretty dark place a lot of the time. And I met this guy who's quite pivotal for me, is DJ Mark One. Are you familiar with
I know
DJ
the
Mark
name,
One?
Yeah.
So he was the DJ for Texas.
Nice.
Charlene's Victoria and stuff, toured the world with them. So I met him because I was doing stuff at Unity Radio. Do you remember Unity Radio back in the day?
Yeah. Okay.
So I was a studio manager at Unity Radio.
Wow.
For a bit.
Right.
Well, for a few years actually, and met him there, and he became a kind of like long-term friend and contact. I'm actually going out food with him tonight.
No way. Yeah. Wow. Amazing.
He introduced me to these guys that he'd met because he was getting into doing DJ tutoring in schools, which was a bit of a gap because the kids weren't really engaging with peripatetic music, where DJing music production has a bit more like appeal, it's a bit more current, it relates to the music that they're into. So he introduces me to these guys called Scott and Austin, who were building something called Future DJs. Yeah. And it was peripatetic DJ tutoring and music production around the UK. And I caught my bug for business. Yeah. Like I found I was good at it. Like I found a real home there, got super, super highly motivated, promoted quickly, and just loved it. We ended up doing courses with like Carl Cox, Eats Everything, Scream,
Oh, man.
Sherelle,
Oh, wow.
Shura. Did live sessions with people like Becky Hill.
Oh, mate, that's incredible.
Some,
yeah.
Some of my personal favorite. I went out for breakfast with DJ Q.
Yeah.
So shout out DJ Q.
That's
that was
awesome.
awesome because I'm a baseline guy originally.
Yeah. That's awesome.
You know, absolutely love that. Just like really, for the first time in my life, it maybe sounds a bit deep, but I found that I actually believed in myself for the first time.
Right.
Because I was seeing that like effort in, results out relationship for the first time, which in music is actually really hard. Like we all know that it's
an endless grind. Yeah, it's endless. Yeah. So yeah.
So I ended up leaving there in 2022, and I got hired. I started working for an ex-Google director who'd invested in an experiential business called Any Moment, where I started off as a consultant and got promoted to exec director within a few months, and we built that up. We ended up pivoting to B2B. We're nearly there, but
no, it's all cool now.
And you know, we would do big corporate events for like Louis Vuitton, Meta, Adyen, Deloitte, and the like in Singapore.
Yeah.
But underneath, you know, as an undercurrent over time, that was when I started. You know, that's where we connect to that story from before about. I started thinking about this situation. It was actually, do you remember Alok Sharma from Dragon's Den?
Yeah.
So implement AI. So I met him in Manchester, and he was doing this talk about, he had this must have been three years ago now. He already had like avatars of himself, you know, like doing customer service calls. And it's like, you know, I could be on 1,000 at the same time. And I was like, wow, that's going to be used by people for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm just cynical. But just like, I mean, that's cool for like a business purpose. But, I realized that technology was moving in a direction where the internet was becoming increasingly unsafe. So I predicted that there was going to be more and more dissatisfaction with the current state of online affairs and the amount of digital access that was suitable for children. So I thought this was something that I could do something about. You know, familiar with Ikigai?
Yeah.
Like, what am I good at?
Yeah.
Building digital platforms. That's all I've done since I left uni.
Right.
What do I like doing? That.
Yeah.
Like, and especially if it has some kind of like purpose and impact. And I always want to come back to those Future DJs days of working with kids directly in schools. You know, in schools like Addy and Stanhope in Lewisham in London with some of the, you know, some more disadvantaged, the more disadvantaged kids in the country.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that. That's a good brief story actually.
Yeah. No, tell us.
So, and bearing in mind, so like, because of a lot of the stuff that happened when I was younger, I actually like, I constantly battled with anxiety. So at the time I ended up in front of 2 cameras, a guy from Spotify, my boss, 40 kids, and like 4 teachers doing a music production workshop, and it ended up going on Sky News.
Oh wow!
And I was like, and you should have seen me before it. I think people might relate to this, and if you have a similar challenge, then it's a good thing to do. Like, you should have seen me just zoning in like meditation music beforehand, just like getting properly in the zone, and the night before as well, just super zen prep. It ended up going really well. Like, some of the rappers came up, and I made this beat live, and then kids started coming up and rapping over it, and they were actually mint as well. And like, so there's me on Sky News, just like bopping like this, drinking a brew out of a mug. It's just, it's so funny. I'll have to send you the video.
Please do.
But I just like that connection with children's outcomes. I never forgot that.
Yeah.
And I think if you come from a difficult place, then that resonates with me so much. It gives me like real purpose, you know? So I knew it had to be something around that, and this felt like something I could take on.
And it was something that you knew about, and you had the expertise at that point as well. And, you know, it sounds like you had a wealth of great contacts to get started with. I mean, and, you know, working alongside like Google, and then you've got DJs in the music industry, and, you know, all this, that is amazing training for building something that is essentially like, you know, like getting involved in making media a safe space. You know, it's such a great training ground for that. You know, obviously you're in the process of building the business and stuff. How difficult has it been? Has it been, you know, what's been your story in terms of the actual Graft?
So I think on the whole, I've been very well prepared for this, because I've been in the trenches, like I say, in startups for years. So I didn't like fall out of the big corporate job into,
and then just go
the Wild West / shark infested waters of entrepreneurship, right?
Totally.
Because I've already been in the trenches for years, so I knew what to expect, and I kind of gained a lot of resilience from those times. But it is tough. It's definitely tough. You have lots of like great highs and very low lows.
Of course.
Yeah.
There's times when you just feel like a complete failure, you know,
Yeah.
and artists as well, you know, musicians and things, they obviously feel that all the time, you know, when it comes
100%.
to, you know, I'm trying to put out my music, no one's listening to my music, oh God, and it's just
Oh, you're
hard.
giving me
It's
PTSD flashbacks.
yeah, there you go, you know, you've been there, you know, so yeah, no, it's no different in any business that you know, no matter what it is, that you're going to have failure, aren't you, and things. You know, how did you navigate that? How did you know? Do you have any advice?
You just got to keep picking yourself back up again and again and again and again and again, and eventually you start thinking like, oh, do I even want to pick myself back up?
Right.
and then you're like, no, I'm doing it anyway, and then you keep doing it, because that's actually, I think that's the key to success. Actually, is learning like how to fail again and again and again and not give up.
Yeah.
'Cause
Resilience.
Yeah. There's very, very few people that have like 1 or 2 failures before they actually, you know, are significant failures. Not necessarily the whole thing failing and starting again, but just like, you know, most people's roads are very, very bumpy.
Oh,
Yeah.
without question.
Yeah.
I know very few people where they've just gone from point A to point B without any problems or any, you know, issues at all.
Yeah.
There's so many times where it's just on the whole, you know, God, it's such a jag. I mean, I've messed up so many things in my life. I've messed up so many, certainly music stuff where like it's all gone wrong on stage or things like that. But like certainly even just like, you know, relationships that I look back on and I go, oh, I could have handled that well better. And you know, it's it's just a learning curve, isn't it? And like you say, just picking yourself up and doing it again and again and again and again and again.
Yeah, I think you touched on something there that's really important as well, is you have to be a kind of reflective practitioner.
Yeah.
It's something you hear, something that we used to talk about a lot on the master's degree that I did in music, which is it reminded me then of those days and writing those kind of slightly pretentious essays about how you think about your own musical practice when actually most of you are just making it up as you go along.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
But the important thing is that you learn from everything that you do, whether it's good, whether it's bad, you know, that you absorb that information.
Yeah.
You know, and that you do think about it.
Definitely. Would you say that the Liaura app, you know, does that encourage students and, you know, kids? Does it encourage them to do that type of thing? You know, is that something that you're looking at?
Yes, it will be. So my dream would be to. So the dream is, and I think there are a few courses that come underneath this, is to create a generation of self-directed learners and goal setters. And within that, of course, there are a whole load of different skills. We already have goal setting in the app, which is nice.
Yeah.
We're going to deepen that over time with milestones, with like teachable moments, with guidance, with courses about like how to set like smart goals that you can work towards and how to break those down into smaller problems, which is actually the genius. That's really important.
Yeah.
It's like you because all of our goals tend to be big.
Yeah. Oh,
we think like, I want to do this
size
crazy
of a planet.
thing.
Yeah.
But you know, within that are probably dozens of like smaller goals that you need to hit and at different times in order to get there, and that's the magic sauce, because they're more manageable, aren't they then?
Yeah, of course. Well, I mean, I know myself, I have in my office, I have boards of, you know, I would say like outcomes, if you like. I want this to happen.
Yeah.
And within that, there's easily 20 steps, and there must be, I don't know, about 25, 30 outcomes. I've just got a huge wall of just steps and stuff, and it's like I feel like one of those military generals just pushing pieces across a big map, and I guess that's the way a lot of people, when you're trying to get somewhere, and even kids, I'm sure they do the same thing, which is like, I want to be Spider-Man one day.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
you got to get bitten by the spider first.
That's it. You got to get bitten by the spider.
That's the first step.
You know, and that's it. And so, of course, breaking anything down into bite-sized chunks is like a huge learning process, isn't it? You know, how to do that. So Liaura assists with that, does it? And you know,
we have the goal setting, but I think there's quite a lot more to do around. I mean, the self-directed learning is built into the courses, so we have an aura point system, which makes sense because it's like Liaura, but also I don't know if you've heard the kids talking about aura. You know, like you've got maximum aura, man.
Yeah. So is that where the name came from?
No.
Go on. Where
so the name is in 2 parts. So Li is this Confucian concept of proper conduct or doing the right thing, and then aura is an environment that radiates something positive usually. So it's like, in a way, it means approach the world with care and radiate something good.
Wow, fantastic.
Yeah, yeah.
Superb.
And it's also brilliant. If anyone's ever mucked about trying to come up with a name for a business and then actually try to get the domains for the...
I know. It's too big and you're like, oh, it doesn't exist.
It's like someone's got it and they're
Someone's
just like
got
not
it,
using it or something, yeah. So, no, I'm pleased with the name. People say it wrong a lot. That's the only thing. It's Liaura.
yeah.
You say it correctly. Yeah,
Liaura.
yeah.
Yeah.
Liaura,
Yeah,
But
yeah.
people say like Liaura. On BBC Radio, they said Laura or something. I'm like, wow.
Like,
where did the wow come from? But yeah, so that's where the name comes from.
right. And am I right in saying as well, you're now looking at doing in-person school visits, workshops, things like that? Is that right?
Yeah, definitely. So what we're looking at doing at the moment, we're organising a few mini pilots where effectively they're like design workshops. So business related, so they get to actively feedback on Liaura as an app, which gives us the great kind of feedback, but gives them a live business project where they can almost take on the role of like a UX tester, to actually kind of in a structured way look at it objectively, look at it emotionally, demo it, break it down, go through different flows and like see if they get stuck in places and record it and that kind of thing. Because that's a super useful skill, actually.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So we've got a few pilots lining up, but super keen to do more.
Yeah.
Schools are so busy these days.
That's
yeah, it's challenging.
And you always have to fit around term time and the exams that are coming up and all of that stuff. And like, it's very hard to slot yourself into those times. How, have you found that process of schools and, the places where you've demoed Liaura, what's the results been like? Has it been really positive? Has it been
super positive?
Brilliant.
Yeah, like they loved the way it looked. They loved the way it worked. The Eco Island Rescue game that I mentioned before was a massive hit. And one of the things that really surprised me, and this comes back to this kind of digital self-determination thing that we touched on before, is that the children actually really surprised me in that they were actually quite delighted with the safety technology. And that was interesting to me because I'm like naively thinking, oh yeah, like customization, colors, like, stickers and like that.
Lasers.
Oh, that's silly. It makes me feel, it's something like cool and fun and colorful. But no, they were like, oh, that's cool. It's like I can report, if someone's being mean to me, I can report that to my parent and I like that. I'm like, that's great.
That's cool, but that's such an insight into the psyche of, what are the age range that you're dealing with at the moment?
Those kids were 9, 10.
So about 9, 10, yeah. So it clearly is something that is on the minds of a 9 and 10-year-old. Like,
we tend to vastly underestimate them, actually.
Yeah, completely. I mean, I know with my son, who's at the time of this recording is 3, and even in his personality traits, I see things on a daily basis, as any parent will know, that you vastly underestimate them. Where you think, oh my God, how does he know that, and how's he picked up on that, and they're such like sponges. So of course, when you're dealing with 9, 10, or early teenagers, all of that stuff. I mean, like they're so switched on. They're so switched on in ways that I think probably adults get browbeaten and life wears us down and things like that. So it's
if you think about when we came up, because we're fairly similar ages, I think. When we came up, we've seen the whole journey, right? Like the first phone was like a Nokia 3310 kind of thing, or something just before it.
And I love that phone.
Yeah,
I would say I love that phone.
Snake is
that
the best.
Well better than on any iPhone, definitely.
Yeah. Exactly. But we've seen that whole journey, and actually, at the time, the threats were kind of emerging.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you had any like malware at the time, because obviously we're all like downloading music off LimeWire and all sorts, and because people didn't really, the threats were emerging, I think, from nowhere back then, right?
Yeah.
Because before the internet was,
just this
relatively
weird,
new.
dark place that nobody knew anything about, kind of thing. Yeah.
Exactly, and people were only just working out how to take advantage of that to spread viruses and get people's details and this kind of thing. And we got through all right. I think you kind of like, you learned through that process, didn't you? And in the end, those skills that you have now where you're like, actually, I am super careful whenever I get an attachment. I do check the email address when I get an email because it might be some thing
dodgy,
pretending.
Yeah.
And they're getting better and better. Sometimes they're so bad though.
Oh,
when they
God,
just spelling mistakes everywhere. And
I know.
The logo's like Just
Although I still do have to, like, occasionally my mum will ring me and she'll be like, Ben, I've got an email from that. And I'm like, Mum,
yeah,
it's nothing. Don't worry about it.
yeah. Exactly. No, but it's worse for them because they never got to experience it.
They never got to experience
and
it.
that's
You're
actually
right.
analogous to this problem with children, where if you actually restrict their access, then they become like the parents who can't figure out the technology
And are not
when they
literate.
need to, not literate in
Yeah.
it, and not literate in the safety in being safe in that environment.
Teaching the skills
Yeah,
that you
yeah.
need. Yeah, no, that's a really
you
good
need
point.
to practice it.
Yeah, it's a really, really good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to kind of sum us up and everything, Hugh, you know, is there anything else that you want to add about Liaura that we've missed, or is there anything else that, you know, what's coming next, or, you know,
Well, I think
goals and things in the future?
Yeah, definitely. So one thing that I haven't really mentioned yet is the wellness side. So we have this meditation space in the app, which is awesome. It teaches kids box breathing.
Right.
But it has like this nice animation on this like star-covered aurora behind it.
Nice.
Super relaxing, right? And then there's a course there as well from Diamond Wellbeing, Stephanie, on mindfulness and like staying like, you know, chirpy, happy, relaxed, and being mindful of how you think and treat other people. So the wellness side is really, really key, I think, because it's inextricable from digital, social media, and childhood in general.
Yeah.
So we're super pleased with that. Want to lean into that a little bit more. One of the things that I think we haven't touched on yet, but I think is awesome, where we relate, I think, probably quite strongly, is with that digital self-determination. When we were kids, we were able to, so in my story, the way I got into music and got into creative pursuits was actually because I did have access to the internet and to networks where I was doing synth covers of Enter Shikari tunes, guitar covers and guitar tabs for other people to learn Enter Shikari songs.
Nice.
Right? It's like getting like a really good ear at the time, rubbish now, but you know, and you were able to just find information to nurture your own interests, and there's a great deal of independence and value to be found in that. Like, I think those creative kind of skills and that mindset, alongside my kind of slightly OCD process mindset, can be quite a powerful combination when it marries up in the right way.
Totally.
You know? And I agree that, you know, you're not going to develop that from watching 5-second TikTok videos.
No.
But if you're actually doing something productive like that, did you do similar things? I imagine?
Of course.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course. You know, it was I eat, sleep, and breathe music. You know, so absolutely any opportunity I had to watch a video, go to a gig, hook up with friends, join a forum, just it didn't matter what it was. I was there. You know, and it's like absolutely the experience that I have in music and any knowledge that is valid today that I've ever gained from music is all down to just being having access to it and being able to go and explore it, you know. And and I suppose on some level it's a credit to my parents for sort of trusting me and to be able to say, like, well, we trust you're responsible enough not to be too much of an, I mean, I obviously was an idiot in loads of ways, but you know, just like not to be too much of an idiot, that you're going to be safe while you're doing it. And, you know,
that touches on something really important: parental role modeling. If a kid sees you addicted to your phone, scrolling through TikTok all day, that is validation that that's an okay thing.
That it's okay to do, yeah.
Whereas if you're like on your computer looking up new ways to play guitar, or like what recipes, or like something you're nurturing an interest that relates to something really not productive, or you know, something in real life. So you've got to kind of like show them the way.
Lead by example.
And then to create that kind of open environment. So I've seen a lot of people talk about that, and that's a really good area of conversation around having like a kind of non-judgmental open ear. Because the reality is, and I won't go into what it was, but like, I think a lot of us have probably been in a situation where when we were kids, something happened on the internet that you had to go to mum and dad about. I think most of us have had something like that at some point. And so, but I think one of the real dangers is when parents are so strict that the child feels afraid to speak to the parent about it. That's the real danger zone, because the parent can't help. They don't know it's happening. That's when the real damage happens, the real dangerous situations happen. So, because kids are going to make mistakes. As well, you know.
Well, adults make mistakes, of course. Everyone makes mistakes. Of course. So having some kind of outlet or somewhere where you can actually express that and correct it, hopefully, that's excellent, isn't it? That's got to be a good thing.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's powerful stuff.
Amazing. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Hugh Shepherd, everyone, and Liaura.
Thank you.